The number one, the only required inspection that we actually have to have is the
Have you ever gotten a property under contract and you are so stoked? You're like, yes, I got this in the bag. And then it hits you. You have to tackle inspections now. You have to make sure that this home is in the condition that you want it to be in for your buyers for now and into the future. Because let's be real, you're going to be selling that for them down the road. So you want it to be not just good enough, but great. And in this moment, you realize that you wish that you had Ali Garced in your pocket to answer all the questions that what would she do in this moment? And so you know what? That's what we're doing today. And you are listening to the Agent Goldmine podcast, which is the best podcast in the entire world. If you're a real estate agent who's looking to take your business from chaos and build it into systems using tactical tips, not these hypothetical, whatever. Like these are on the streets in the freaking trenches from agents like Ali Garced and myself who are doing it ourselves. And we are both icon agents. We've closed hundreds of transactions between us in the agent space, investor space. So Ali, welcome to your show.
I'm so excited, and the audience does not know we have not prepared this. So she did not give me any insight on even the topic until right now. So let's do this.
Yeah, I was like, dude, you got this. We're hitting record.
It's like, let's go.
Okay, Ali. So let's start with you got the property under contract, and I know that you are like the inspections queen. You love all of the types of inspections. So, what are the normal go-to inspections that you generally recommend for your clients? Just tell us about that piece.
Okay, cool. So in the state of Arizona, which is where I sell in Tucson, so if you have any referrals, please hit me up on the gram, Allie the agent, and Shelby's the Shelby show. Anyway, I had to put that out there. In Arizona, the number one, the only required inspection that we actually have to have with the VA loan is the pest. So we have to get termites. That's it. If they don't want a general, they don't have to have one. So we get the pest. We usually get general, HVAC, plumbing, roof, which is typically free in Arizona, and electric. So those 5, 6. And if there's a pool, if they're buying a house with a pool, then a separate pool inspection. And also regarding the plumbing, I usually ask or recommend that my clients get a sewer scope as well, so that way they can see the underneath. And they can therefore when the plumbing inspection comes back saying that they need to redo this and that at the bottom, they know what they're talking about. It doesn't feel like they're getting gypped. So yeah.
I have a question already. So what is it about getting the specialty inspections in those categories versus the general inspection first, and then being like, okay, based on this general, here's this is your whole book of anything that's possibly wrong with the home that the inspector found. Of course, there's always the chance that they missed it, and then based on these results, the areas that we might want to get a specialist out are X, Y, and Z. But what is your reasoning for going straight in to the specialists?
This is so funny that you asked me this today because I learned something literally yesterday from my TC. My TC taught me this. Hence the reason you should have TC. My goodness. So I was and still am a big proponent of not just getting the general, going directly to the different specialists because when they go out there and inspect, one, that's all they're looking for, right? Like they specialize in HVAC, they specialize in electric. And they give you a freaking quote. They give you the bid to fix everything. So therefore, at the end of our inspection period, after we have gotten all 6 reports or whatever, we put it all together, we tally up all the money, and at the bottom of our inspection report, we say, or Mrs. Seller, if you do not want to fix these changes yourself, please, in lieu of you fixing, please provide buyer an additional credit of XYZ. Here's the proof that we are not making up numbers. So that's why, because the general home inspector does not give quotes. And instead, what I found that whenever I had questions or my clients had questions about something specifically, like, hey, like the HVAC didn't turn on, but the seller is saying that it does turn on and it does get cold. They 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 couldn't go deep enough into the problem, and they don't I don't know, maybe I can go a lot of different ways here. Sometimes they just, like,
Dude, same.
don't turn it on, like, like, some inspectors, I'm like, "Are you dumb.
Oh
And
my
trust
God.
me, like I've gone through so many different general home inspectors, the blinds don't work. And then we put it on the inspection report, and the listing agent's like, "This is how you work it. These are specialty blinds." I'm like, "Oh, I feel stupid." So stuff like that. And they can never super go into the weeds of saying what is wrong, how much will this cost, because they're general home inspectors. And instead they say contact the HVAC specialist, contact a roofing specialist. If we're gonna have to do that, might as well just go, in my thought, might as well just go with the direct vendor to begin with.
And that makes sense. I do understand the logic behind there. I do also think it depends on the home inspector that you get. Like our home inspector here in Kentucky, she grew up, her dad was a builder. And so she grew up like building homes, like on construction sites, like understanding how things work. And I feel like that is a very different inspector as opposed to the one who is like randomly like, I'm going to go and get my inspector's license. And that's,
Yeah.
so I do feel like there's definitely a difference in that. And I love the thought of like giving the quote on the spot because it is so annoying where it's like, okay, now we need a second round of getting people out there because we have the first, everything in hand, but now we actually need quotes. And I do have to add, this is literally why this podcast happened because, okay, story time. I'm on the listing side and the buyer got their own general home inspection, submitted their request. And I was just like, this listing is like pristine condition, like literally pristine. And one of the things on the request was that the shower valve is not working. And I was like,
Mm.
there's no way. Like this was literally like completely renovated. We tested everything, it works. And I was like, okay. And he's like, well, I'm going to get my contractor out there to get a quote. And I'm like, sure, you're more than welcome to get quotes on anything you want. Just so you know, I'm also going to go and go by and take a look at the property because the minute that
Buyer said that?
the buyer's agent. The
Okay.
buyer's agent
Okay.
was like, I'm gonna get my contractor out there and we're gonna get a
Got
quote
it.
on the shower valve that's not working. And I was like, that's great. Awesome. We're also gonna do our due diligence on this thing that's not
Yeah.
working. And we weren't able to get it out there. He got out there before I did. And he called and he's like, yeah, like the contractor said that we're probably going to have to like rip out the tub. We're gonna have to pull out, the drywall and like to fix this valve
Oh,
properly. And I'm like, he's like, it's gonna be, a couple $1,000s at least. I'm waiting on the exact quote. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, damn, really? Like this is so after showings last night, Drake and I on the way back here, like, hey, let's just stop by that property. Like, let's just check it out. And so we pop in there and I have a video. It's like the best video of Drake. Like he turns on, the shower and it's right. There's nothing coming out of the valve. And he's like, oh, and then he puts his hand up at the top of the shower valve and switches the shower valve from off to on. Boom, it works perfectly. There's great shower pressure. Like I have
wow.
video. I'm just like, literally, if I would have blindly trusted the inspector, the
Mhm.
buyer's agent, and their contractor, my seller would be
Mhm.
out literally thousands of dollars. And yet Drake was able to switch the little thing and turn it on. And we're like, what is happening? What is happening right now? I just don't understand.
Oh my goodness. And that's exactly why I'm not a fan of the general inspectors. And maybe in Arizona they just have so much like liability that they, like they can't point out that there's mold. It has to say like a mold present, so contact somebody else because I can't even speak about it. Or the door like kind of there's a ladder block in the attic. Can't get up to
Can't
the attic. Like,
can't
are
move
you
it.
freaking kidding
Yeah,
me?
hate
Come
that.
on. Like, do the basic stuff. So, yeah, that is crazy. And of course, the general contractor wouldn't have said, "Hey, you could just switch it." They'd be like, "No,
Right,
let's
because he's like,
let's
"Well,
get
a couple
myself some work."
thousand." Exactly, a couple
Yeah,
$1,000. Okay,
it's
so that's
crazy.
I love your list. We have termite, we have the HVAC, plumbing, roof, electric, pool if there is a pool, sewer scope. Do you also, because I'm looking at this list and I'm thinking about other things that go wrong. Do you do anything with appliances? Like, do you have the or do you like just, you go by and just make sure they work? Or do you guys have radon that in Arizona that you care about? Or
No, no radon in Arizona. Of course, don't sue me, bro. um, but
zero radon anyway. I'm just
like we don't even have yeah, we don't
kidding.
even have like the forms for radon. Like unlike here, like in Minnesota, the
Yeah,
Midwest, where it does definitely have radon.
right.
What was the first part of your question again?
Appliances.
Appliances. No, the buyer, I will tell the buyer about the home warranty because that's what will cover appliances. A lot of times it just happens to be the case where my clients like their own washer and dryer already and are going to be switching it out regardless. So no, we don't really do much with appliances.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. And then it sounds like you guys don't have septic tanks out there.
I don't work septic. That's like out in the boonies. No. No, we're on city water, baby.
This is different. It's all different. Yeah. And for listeners who don't know, I'm in Lexington, Kentucky. So if you have referrals for here, send them to Lexington. We do have septic tanks here. We also have city sewer, but we also have radon. Radon. So that's interesting.
Do you have email out there? Do you have like internet? Okay.
Yeah. No, it's just horse stock. People like John Revere. Like they bring the letters.
Don't even know that.
Wait, the British are coming. What do you mean? Wait, is it Jason John Revere? I think it's Paul Revere. Oh my God. I'm dead. Did I say that wrong?
Edit, or we can keep it. The true patriots we are.
Whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Veterans, baby. We're military veterans.
Okay. Anyway, so radon was a big change here from North Carolina, where people were like, what? Radon? What do you mean? No. And here it's like one of my absolute. So I always do termite general home because my inspector is really good and really thorough. And then we do sewer scope or septic, radon, and then if they wanted miscellaneous inspections. One that's like really popular right now, I don't know, it must be on the internet, people are like talking about it, but mold and air quality is like popping right now. Everyone wants a mold and air quality test. I don't know if that's you're nodding.
I've seen the request with some properties. Mainly it was investor clients that were purchasing in like central Tucson, where it was mainly, just like lived by a renter, just rented out. Sure. Where they never opened a window. They had like a whole ass greenhouse in there. Like, yeah, you feel, and especially in Arizona, you can tell when you're no longer in dry heat. Like when you step inside and it's moist, you don't need lotion anymore. Like you're like, okay, let's but that definitely increases the time frame because they have to send it to the lab. So at that point, we know, I try to tell my clients, if you're considering, if you're on the fence about an inspection, order it now, because in Arizona the standard is 10 days, and that's actually not enough time if you want to get mold. So what we're gonna have to increase it to like 14 days. So if you're on the fence about it, we see that there are a crap ton of plants inside, or we see that there's maybe some mold looking things, order it now. So that way we don't have to extend the inspection period, because the seller might just say no, and then we're screwed. But so the thing that I learned from my TC is, by the way, the general home inspectors I've gone through, like at least 8, 9, 10. All of them have been like, can't open the window. Like all of them are like the same, like incapable. Like wow, okay. But anyway, that's mainly the reason why I was going directly to the vendors. Let's just go with HVAC. Let's just cut out general. There's no need. We could get every other aspect of the house inspected. I learned from my TC that there is a service, at least in Tucson. So look in your own city, in your own MLS, ask around, that if you did just get the general home inspection, you can send these companies a report and they would provide you a quote. So that way at the bottom of our inspection report, where we are responding to the seller, we're not just making up a number, and it's not on me to look up the number. There's no liability on my end. It's not on the buyers to predict how much it's going to cost to replace these plumbing fixtures or whatever. And so you can send it to this company. This company will give you a report, and therefore, like, that bid is as strong as you having gone to the individual inspectors. So we're doing that for the first time. We're sending it today.
If you're on a 50-50 split, it's time to rethink your brokerage. At eXp, the split is 80-20. And once you cap, you keep 100%. We show you how to get there faster. I'm Ali Garced, or Ali the Agent. My sponsor, Shelby Johnson, and I each close over 40 deals a year. We are full-time agents actively producing, and everyone in our upline is an icon agent. When you name us as a sponsor at eXp, you get full access to all of our systems and checklists and templates, our 200K GCI playbook to help you make 200K your first year, direct mentorship and direct access to us, no huge group calls. We also help agents add another stream of income, which is rev share. We will help you with all the tools and trainings you need to build revenue share that will help you retire early. If you're interested in building an actual business, book a call at theagentgoldmine.com.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
You have to let us know how that goes. Yeah, it's so interesting too, because like I feel so differently being depending on which side I'm representing. Because on the
Yeah,
buyer side, I'm like,
definitely.
okay, yeah, no, that sounds great. Because I know that company, it's gonna be beefy. Like, there's no way they're shopping rates to get the lowest price. They have like partners who are probably, whenever you see on Google when they're like, you know, big actual companies who have like a front desk chick who answers the phone and they actually have like an office and it's like legitimate, you just know that their prices, although the service is going to be amazing, the prices are going to be way more than the dude who's been doing it for 20 years, who's plumber with his butt crack showing, who knows his shit, but he also has no online presence and it's all just like word of like. And so if I'm on the buy side, I'm like, yeah, of course we're going for like the top of the line, like certified business, all of these things. But if I'm on the seller side, I'm like, if this gets the job done, and we're not going to do a crappy job, we're going to get it done right and all the things, but I'm also not going to spend 3 times as much if I don't have to for the same job. So it's just very interesting, the perspectives, depending on which side that you're representing.
Oh, yeah. When you do you find that in Lexington, sellers typically are more apt to actually do the fixes or just credit?
Really depends. It really
Mm.
depends on, like, is the seller in state? Do they know people here? Have they, if they've like born and raised, grown up here and they know like a bunch of people and they're like, no, Johnny can just do that for me. Like, it's totally fine. Then they're probably more inclined to get it done than someone who's just like, make it go away.
Yeah. I think out of all of my transactions, I would say maybe like 4 have ever actually done the fixes.
Oh, they
And one
just
of
do
them was
concessions.
in yeah,
Yeah.
it's always just
Much
credit.
easier.
Yeah.
It's way
Oh, yeah,
easier.
for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that better too, because then the buyer can get what they want, and they're
Mhm.
happy, like, or unhappy with their own choices and vendors as opposed to unhappy with our choices. So
Right.
all things to
Yeah.
consider, and it's all situational. Yeah. Something that it's interesting. I don't know if they have this built into the Arizona contract is in Kentucky. They did not have this in North Carolina, but in Kentucky, it is built into the standard purchase and sale agreement that if any termite issues come up from the buyer's inspections, the seller is required without negotiation to repair them up to 1% of the purchase price. Anything that
Oh,
exceeds 1% of the purchase price is negotiable. But I just feel like that's like super interesting.
that is interesting. Wow, I wonder how many lawsuits came out because of that, or, for that to be the reason that, the new
Yeah.
standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, with in Arizona, being that I do mainly military VA loans, it's just the termites, yeah, so anything that the appraiser calls out, which usually is gonna be the termite report, that's it. So sometimes it'll be, trees or, shrubbery touching the roof or, the outside, or termites, and it usually I've never seen termites cost more than, well, $1,200? That's it,
Oh, to
you
like
know,
fix to kill the termites
to
for
fit to
sure.
remediate, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, not expensive. That's so interesting because like I've seen, I totally agree. Like it's always pretty cheap to remediate, like kill the termites. But then if I'm on the buy side, the follow on is, oh, now we need to get a structural inspection to see what damage that these termites have actually caused to the structure as opposed to just being live. And then I've seen that be like $25,000 in like ate
Oh,
up
yeah.
floor joists, like everything underneath the house. So
Damn.
termites are
Damn.
nasty little critters.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, wait, sorry. So I was here to ask questions. I did ask questions on which inspections you get. In my follow-on question, I think you already answered, but maybe I'll just, to reiterate, it sounds like you're getting your specialists out there, and while they're out there, they're getting quotes on anything that they do see. So that way, at the end of inspections, you already have exactly what you want to ask for from the seller. Do you ever ask for, in addition to anything that the inspections found, do you also ask for like cosmetic allowances? Like, I don't know, it kind of feels like you probably don't sell houses that are need cosmetic updates, but do you ever ask for like, in addition, $2,000 towards carpet or whatever?
No, usually the inspections come back with a good amount that we're asking
Oh,
for,
yes.
$10,000, 15K worth of shit.
Yeah.
So, I tell my buyers, it's it's leaning toward a buyer's market, but sellers still think it's a seller's market. And so we're not about to ask for a new fridge because there's a couple of dents. You
Sure.
know, like we're what we're asking for
Right.
is that my responsibility is to make sure that you're getting into a safe home. Like I don't want the roof to collapse on you. I don't want for you to wake up in a flood of shit because the plumbing went wrong. You know, like so so my buyers know, like, that it's for big ticket items, and on I think, like, the overall, like, the culture in Tucson is if we were to ask for that, like, for a credit for painting or credit for carpet, I could see if it's, like, really, really bad, but if it was, like, mediocre bad and we were to ask for a credit, we would just be laughed at.
Oh,
It's very much so yeah, it's very much so unless it's a new build, which is completely different, then we'll
yeah.
ask for everything, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's in Tucson, it's very much so for big ticket items.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's so
That's the
interesting. And
culture
this is
there.
one of the things where, like, if listeners out there, like, it is really important that you talk to agents who are in your market as well and find out, like, what's normal and what's not. Because even just Ali and I, our differences in our markets are pretty drastic, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's just good for you to listen to ideas of what's possible and what's out there, but also make sure that you don't put your buyer in a situation where they might offend a seller, lose an offer, just like Ali said, by asking for something that the seller's going to laugh at and be like, I don't even want a counter. Like, screw that person.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
important.
Yep, and
Important.
that's like a whole another reason why you should have a TC because the TC is likely working with other people that are busy, and you can ask the TC, "What do you commonly see? Like, what are you
What's
seeing on
normal.
this type of house? Yeah, how much?" And so that's what I did. You know, when I first got started, I was like, I don't know what is customary, what is common, what
Right.
is out of the blue. So I relied on my TC a ton, and clearly still do.
Yeah. And one other thing I would say, if you have a request that you're not sure is going to fly with the seller side, pick up the phone,
Oh my
call the
god, yeah.
listing agent. And I know picking up the phone and calling people, like, it can be annoying, but in situations like this, feel them out. Be like, hey, like, I just wanted to talk through where your seller's at and, what my buyer's thinking, because I just want to make sure that we don't do anything that is going to offend them, or, you know what I mean? And just like have that conversation. And based on their tone, their reaction, like this one that we recently just did, I was like, oh my God, like because I wanted to ask for a lot. And a lot of it was like cosmetic, because that's where we're at in this market. This house has not been
Wow,
painted in 3
nice.
years. Boom, baby. But I was like, even for
Oh my
me,
god, we could never.
who's
We
a
could
little,
never. That's
yeah. And I know that I push limits. Like, I am one of the ones who, like, I go right up to the line, but then keep it sweet and keep it nice. So they're like, wow, she's really nice. I don't know that she's actually, kicking me in the teeth, But I called him and I knew, like, based on the tone and based on the reaction, I was like, oh, we got this. Just because
Mhm.
his very subtle levels of desperation about, like, his seller situation, and the tones of like, well, actually, we were considering price dropping before. And he even told me how much they were going to consider price dropping. And I was like,
Wow.
and so, like, picking up the phone and calling can really, and then of
Oh my
course,
god, yeah.
then you've already presented it really to the person who's going to present it to the seller. And if they're on board, the likelihood of them getting their client on board is so much better. So just
Mhm.
remember that the agent is on your team. You guys are always at the stage of like, hey, we're in this together. I want to make something work, that sort of thing. And don't mean, I feel like I just sounded like an asshole. I don't, but like, it's one of those things where you're also like trying to get information because you're
Yeah.
representing a client in the situation, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I used to call, like, lenders before as a listing agent, before accepting an offer, I would call lenders and ask them the questions that I know straight up they cannot they can't answer, but it's up to them to not,
Exactly. Oh
and
my God.
sometimes they will, you know?
Dude, that's so
So
true. I had one where I was like, called them and I was like, yeah, you can't. And I was like, just tell me exactly what we need. Just
yeah,
tell me what we need to beat the other offer and we'll do
yeah.
it, and then they do. And I'm like, okay, well, that worked.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't know.
And then also, as we are submit on the buyer side again, as we're submitting the report, I always we've had a conversation about that beforehand, especially if it's gonna be like a big ask. Then I over the phone, I let them know when to expect it. So so I'll let them know like, okay, expect the report back by tomorrow at like 9 p.m. And I always give myself a buffer so that way it gets there early, always. And then I will text them and say, hey, like the report is in your inbox. It's just like so like just trying to over communicate as much as possible while my TC is the one who emails it to them. In the email, I always have my TC have similar like verbiage. So it's like canned emails from her end and canned, but you'll see what I mean. Pretty much, we're going to highlight some other things that the inspection reports found that were bigger ticket items, not laughable items, but that we didn't ask for. So we're going to put that in the body of the email saying, hey, like, thank you so much for like, we're super enjoying this transaction. The buyer is excited. Hopefully this has continued to be a smooth closing for you guys as it has this been on our end. We did find a lot in the inspection reports. And this is also what I'm saying over the phone beforehand. So they hear it again, but this time they could forward it to the sellers if they wanted to. We did find a lot in the inspection reports. We found that the roof XYZ, the HVAC XYZ, the electric XYZ, but we spoke to our buyers and they don't want to ask that much of the sellers. They don't want to be annoying. Like they just want to have like the most like minimum safest house that they can. So we're asking for these items, bullet, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we look forward to hearing from you. So like we always tell them, instead of giving them a list of like 15 items or 8 items of what we're asking for, we tell them what we did not ask for.
So smart.
And I find that helps.
So smart. Yeah. And when you are asking things, agents out there, make sure you know what you're asking for. Because I feel like I can tell every single time when I get a repair request that I'm like, this agent has no idea what they're asking for. They got a home inspection and they copied and pasted and they put like, they don't even have like an actual request in there. It's like, this shower valve, this did not happen in this example, but like shower valve, something. Like it's a statement as opposed to the action that you want done.
Reattach,
repair, replace, all of these things. It's just, I'm just like, dude, like, and if you don't know, that's okay, but it's also your responsibility to find out. It's not like you can just blindly like hope that someone will know what you're talking about when you didn't even know what you're talking about. Like that's when you hop on the phone with the inspector or, you call the contractor and you say, hey, will you meet me at the property and actually show me what this is? Because I need to understand. So I understand how to best represent my clients and also know what I'm asking for to the listing side.
Yeah. Because they'll ask if you're confused, they're going to be confused because they weren't at the inspection, and then they're going to fix it the least half-assed, the most half-assed way. And guess what? They fulfilled their side of the contract, and your buyer's not happy because you didn't word it correctly.
Because you didn't know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This has been a fun one. I don't know if this has been helpful. It's really just been us like ripping. What I don't know what the word is.
I think it's riff.
Oh shit!
Ripping just reminds me of ripping ass.
Oh
but
my
you
God,
probably
so
did
funny.
it anyway. So you did both.
The guy who I invited to the podcast the other day, I was like, "Hey, do you want to get on and rip it?" Said that. So now we're just gonna rip ass together again.
That's so funny.
This is good. Okay, what else you got, Ali? Anything?
Nothing. If this has been helpful, we are looking for more reviews. So get on the Apple, or your priority there, Apple, Spotify, give us a 5-star review. Find us on the Instagram. We do not bite. We are Ali the Agent, ALI, and The Shelby Show. And for more golden nuggets, which we didn't have anything for this episode, but we always do for all the other episodes, go on theagentgoldmine.com. It's free resources for you to help you with shit like this. Be a bro and share this show.
If you're on a 50-50 split, it's time to rethink your brokerage. At eXp, the split is 80-20. And once you cap, you keep 100%. We show you how to get there faster. I'm Ali Garced, or Ali the Agent. My sponsor, Shelby Johnson, and I each close over 40 deals a year. We are full-time agents actively producing, and everyone in our upline is an icon agent. When you name us as a sponsor at eXp, you get full access to all of our systems and checklists and templates, our 200K GCI playbook to help you make 200K your first year, direct mentorship and direct access to us, no huge group calls. We also help agents add another stream of income, which is rev share. We will help you with all the tools and trainings you need to build revenue share that will help you retire early. If you're interested in building an actual business, book a call at theagentgoldmine.com.